Welcome back to the Real Deal podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and relatable. Today's episode, let's ask ourselves, have we ever felt resentful? Have we ever felt empty? Have we ever felt frustrated? But we just don't know where to lay our finger on and explain what is it that we are going through. I'm sure the answer would be yes to most of us. In fact, probably to all of us, because we all have been through that situation. The simplest answer to this is because we all have some basic emotional needs or personal needs that haven't been met. I'm sure you would have figured out what today's episode is about. So, today we'll explore what it means to have unsatisfied needs, how it affects our relationships and emotions, and what is it that we can do to meet them in healthy ways. So, let's get started with the episode. Let's now understand what exactly are these unsatisfied needs. These needs are the essential things that make us feel secure, loved, and fulfilled. They include things like emotional connection, recognition, autonomy, safety, belonging, more of a self expression. When these needs are not met, we feel frustrated, we feel anxious, disconnected, and feel angry. So, we feel a lot of these emotions within our body and brain, but sometimes we don't put in that effort to learn why these things go unsatisfied. Now, the biggest thing to understand here is the reason why we go through these emotions, why we have these unsatisfied needs. The biggest reason for me is we may not even recognize what our true needs are. Because if we do, then it becomes a lot more simpler. We fear about talking about these needs. There's always that belief that meeting other people's needs are more important than your own. That's just basic human nature. We always tend to do more for others than we do for us. So while we are busy satisfying other people's needs, there are so many of our own needs that remain unsatisfied. And also, one of the other main reasons why our needs go unsatisfied or unnoticed is because of our miscommunication, be it in friendships or even the workplace. I'll explain this in very simple terms. If I have to use my own example and talk about unsatisfied needs, I will quote an example from my work. There was a time when I was very newly recruited and I was given some training and I was asked to work on my own, and I was the only person responsible for the company to do a certain job. And it was COVID time. We were all forced to work from home, and I would probably work almost 14, 15 hours every single day because the amount of work was very high. And it was just me who was doing it all alone. I was so scared to ask my manager that I need help. I was scared what if they think I am not capable enough of handling the stress. I was very scared what if I end up losing my job because they think I'm not capable of handling the workload. It went on and on and on for weeks and months. And towards the end of it, the cost of these resulting in me feeling extreme exhaustion and burnt out. So finally, out of no other choice, I had to go and tell my manager that I need somebody to help me with so and so because I'm just not able to do it on my own. If only I had been open about my needs right from the start and been upfront and honest, that could have saved me a lot of my health. But that's not what I did. And because of all these frustrations, there was a kind of resentment that I had built up towards that role of mine, towards that job of mine. And that also kept me always thinking about my self worth. It hampered my confidence so much because I was just not able to keep up. And I kept thinking about myself that maybe I'm not even fit to do this job. The confidence lowers with every experience like this. So that was just my example. But in general, let's talk about these unsatisfied needs in relationships and what is the cost that comes with this. Resentment is literally the most common thing that you feel when you have unsatisfied need. You always have that resentment build up against the person. Even if they do the right thing, even if they do it all well next time, because of the resentment that you have due to some of the unsatisfied needs you have had before, you will never see through it. And again, Just like how I experienced exhaustion and burnt out in an office setting, the same thing happens personalized in a home setting where you are so emotionally exhausted, you're burnt out, but the other person doesn't even understand what is happening. Or even if they put an effort to understand, because you have so much resentment built against them, you dismiss those efforts. We have all been there, we have all gone through these similar situations. And because of this, there are repeated patterns of unfulfilling relationships. You're never happy in that relationship. You feel empty. You're very frustrated. Your self worth, your confidence, everything takes a toll. But if you ask yourself if this is the end of it, then the simple answer would be no to start with. Every situation is different to assess. So let's talk about some of the steps that we can take to meet these needs. Identify your needs, pause and reflect. What is it that I'm missing right now? Is the question to ask. Again, everything goes back to understanding yourself. If you don't even know what that need is and you're just frustrated with the person, then it is of no use because you have to identify. There has to be some reason why you're feeling like you have an unsatisfied need. So, you asking yourself, what is it that I'm missing right now? Is it the love? Is it the respect? Or if you take a professional setting, is it fair distribution of work amongst all team members? Things like this. You need to narrow it to what is it that you're actually missing so you can understand it better to deal with it better. Communicate clearly, express your needs with honesty and respect. This is really important because sometimes, as humans, what we tend to do is when we are communicating, we are honest, but sometimes we might not be respectful in communicating our needs. We might just shout on top of our voice. We might scream, or we might say it in a very rude way. But that is not how things work. Forget about how the other person is. What our words are a reflection of who we are. So it is important to be honest and also respectful while communicating what is it that you actually need. Take personal responsibility. Some needs can be met by ourselves, not just by ourselves. This is so true. We can't keep expecting everything from other people. There are some things that we do have to take personal responsibility. We can meet those needs ourselves. We don't need them to meet those needs. Let's take an example. One of the biggest needs that sometimes, especially women, need is just to step back and rest it out. Things will fall in place, things will happen. The husband or the family or the kids, they're going to be able to take care of things on their own. The need is rest. Is it satisfied? No. But is this something that anyone else can do anything about? No. This is something that you have to decide. Take personal responsibility. You prioritize your rest first. Everything else can wait. If you do not have the health to take care of others, what is the whole point? And for you to be in that healthy state, you need to take care of yourself first. You need to rest first. People cannot rest for you. This is an example of taking personal responsibility. Set boundaries, protect your energy, and prioritize what's essential. Setting boundaries is very important. Even if it's with your own family, it is very fair to do so, and it is very fair to say no also. We discussed the fear we all have about disappointing other people. It's very common. No matter how much you try, we all will end up having some of those situations in our life. But the more and more we tell ourselves and we understand that it is very important to set a boundary, we need to protect our energy and we need to prioritize what's essential. Rest is what is essential for you, and the boundary for you is taking a stand for yourself when other people say it's okay, you can rest later. It is not their body, it is your body which is asking for rest. So you need to put a boundary there, and you need to prioritize your energy. Your energy shouldn't be wasted on people putting you down or saying things like that. Check in regularly. Needs evolve. Stay aware and make minor adjustments. When we talk about these needs, right? Dealing needs that we have within ourselves is different to dealing with the needs that other people have. So it's a good practice to have conversations with people related. It might be your partner, your kids, your parents, your friends. It's good to keep that check in place. It's good to have conversations like this. This is not common. It is very, as a society, no one teaches us that these are some of the important conversations that we need to have for relationships to thrive, right? You have to check in regularly on people. Just see what are their needs. How can you make minor adjustments? We all have to adjust in some or the other way. It's wrong when it is only one person doing all the adjustment, but it goes hand in hand. We compromise a few things for someone else, they compromise a few things for us. It's a give and take. And that's how the world functions. So, the more we understand what the other person's needs are, and if it can be met, it cannot be met, what is the common ground, how can we make this work through, all these will happen only when we start communicating and when we are honest about it. Even sometimes, if I have to express something to somebody, right, I think so many times, if I put it in this way, maybe they'll get hurt, or maybe they will get hurt regardless, even if I tell them in the softest way possible. So I hold on to saying things. I hold on to sharing what is it that I actually need. And just like how I have to work on those things, I'm sure you all have your own things that you need to work on. So this is a collective effort that we can do to work around our habits, to work around our communication. That's the most important thing ever in any relationship, friendship, professional setting, even with your own self. And on a closing note, I also want to say that people shouldn't think these unsatisfied needs are a signal of weakness. They definitely are not. When we notice them and also take steps to meet them, it creates a lot of balance in relationships. It creates a lot of more fulfillment in our lives. And we all deserve to experience these emotions in our lives. We all need to know how to handle them. What is it that we can do to be better humans? And on that note, we come to the end of today's episode. As I say always, if this is something that related to and you someone who can also make use of this, please share this with them. Share these tips with them. Make a note of them. I hope this episode and the tips that I have shared have helped you or will help you in some or the other way. I would really appreciate if you can give me a follow on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube. And also, please let me know what you felt about this episode. It is very important for me to know how each of my episodes are going because that is what drives me to do better and come up with a lot more different ideas to topics to talk about. So I will look forward to seeing how you felt about today's episode. We'll catch you again next week. Until then, take care. Bye bye.